Hi, welcome to the award-winning Ed Brown Show. Boy, we got some hot topics today, I tell you. One of the main ones that most of you know about, I almost start out, but one of the positive things we have on the program, I want to tell you about that. The homeless. Okay, we're going to have a homeless program December 3rd. Okay, the phone number is 240-619-2019. Okay, what they need. Now listen, I said new hats, scarves, gloves, socks, and toiletry, things of that nature. Now, this homeless project is one of the first projects that Ed Brown has gotten into. But I think with Thanksgiving coming up, Christmas coming up, you should be in the mood to give. So that's the homeless project, and that's at 240, right? 619-2019. I'll give you that again at the end of the program, that number, because hey, everybody should have a home, and if you're homeless during the holidays, that is the worst time, because you go back and you think of things that you had, because most of these people are very intelligent. They just had a rough time, made the wrong move. So don't forget, 240-619-2019. Okay, and this is Ed Brown. Now we're getting into hey, tell me this. Does anybody know anything about the Hatch Act? I thought they were going to bring it up about the Hatch Act with the FBI and director's letter. But what we need to do is, I thought the situation was that the Hatch Act prevented, I think, the FBI, in the FBI, a government position. I don't know whether if it's directors on it or what, but all you government workers out there, this is the opportunity to get in the game. And you have any information? How do you think the Hatch Act will fit into this Mr. Comey's letter about the FBI's investigation? I always thought that if you on the Hatch Act, your supervisor has to approve things like that, But it seemed no one mentioned Mr. Comey's boss, the fact that she's the secretary of one of those agencies, and but it wasn't mentioned in the local newspaper that, and I had people call and talk about, say, hey, isn't this, what happened to the Hatch Act? Because all the people, on the lower level that are not on cabinet level, the Hatch Act is the thing that keep them in line, right? So they can't be partisan, and which the Hatch Act, the federal workers are not supposed to be active, and the fact that Mr. Comey was of the other party, and his timing it is suspicious. Now, if you don't think his timing was suspicious, give me a call and let me know, and give me your opinion on that. I think this is abuse of the Hatch Act. I mean, if the average federal worker out there, if in fact they have superseded their boss with information without getting a clearance, there would be some problems. But it seems to me that none of the news papers mention the Hatch Act, if in fact this was hatchable, you know what I mean? But I mean, you have to do that for yourself. With the situation getting close like it is in this election, anything can happen. And I think, give me your opinion about that letter FBI sent 11 days before the election. That's very, very interesting. And one thing I like about it is that Republicans and Democrats complain about it. It wasn't just the Democrats complain about the letter being sent that way. but there was some Republicans in there, and I have to really pat them on the back. And they made it very obvious, you know, how they felt about the letter going to the candidate for the president of the United States 11 days prior to the election. I think I smell something. I don't know what it is. But anyway, think about it yourself. And no, just give me a call. It's 301-467-5053. Let me know how you feel and how you think that should have been handled. You know, most of the people that I talk to, most of them are talking about the Hatch Act. If, in fact, on their job, they, you know, went around their boss, and then they were on the opposite party of the person that the letter was going to affect, that there'd be some kind of investigation. But hey, it was only a few politicians, and like I said, I give them credit. It was Democrats and Republicans that they felt that it was something's going on with a letter being sent 11 days prior to the election. Now, what you want to do now, the way that you can give your opinion and all of that, but the way that you can get involved in it, hey, vote. Remember, hey, this is the vote. This is your last time. This is your last time in 4 years now. I mean, to the top office, and you have to think about it. You know what you want to do. Hey, the favorite word here on the Ed Brown Show: homework. I mean, don't let Aunt Susie and Uncle Mac, you know, influence you about how it should go, because of the fact that they came along when there was segregation and there wasn't the equality that you have now. Now you have the equality. The equality is the strongest thing you have. None of you out there have anything stronger than your vote. No matter how you complain, make suggestions, everything, you are in control of your vote. And hey, you got to use it. I mean, you can't, don't be in the barbershop down there or the beauty salon, you know, complaining about what's going on, and you're sitting on your hiney there and didn't vote because the line was too long, or making some kind of excuse. Because what's going to happen when you sit at home, you're going to pay for it the next 4 years. Whatever your choice is, the next 4 years, your buddies be greeting you with the candidate that lost name. You know how you do that. You go in and one of your friends there in the beauty shop or either the barber shop, and they call you by the name of one of the persons that lost the election. And because they do that because of the fact they know who you were woofing around talking about was the best candidate. So only way you can do that and feel good, and I mean feel good, is do some homework. Don't let the system dictate to you. And hey, many areas in this country, they are making it difficult. I've heard all kinds of things are happening, and as far as the polls are concerned, I mean, they changing people's names, taking their names off the list. Now, you have to think, if they're doing all of this to keep you from voting, that voting must be very important, you know, because if it didn't mean nothing, they wouldn't care whether you went to the polls or not. It means something because it means one of the major items, and I've talked about the 3% of the people control most of the money. Those guys are the ones that it really, really hurts. Maybe the guy that worked 9 to 5 doesn't hurt him as bad, but the 3% that controls, and if you're in that 3%, you know what I'm talking about, because you wouldn't be in control if, in fact, people knew how you got your money, you know, and the fact that you found loopholes in our tax system. You know, you spend a lot of money, but 20 years, you know what I mean, that you don't pay taxes. Just imagine not paying taxes. That means, oh, what's going to happen? What about them roads out there? What about them potholes that you you complain about? You know, what about the new bridge? Some of the bridges going in and out of the cities here in the United States are horrible. I mean, every time you look, what they put a scoop-de-loop, a loop-de-loop, trying to ease the traffic, you know. But all of that, and then we have another thing that's coming in that I think that people, taxpayers, need to think about too, is the services that the federal government offers you, the services that private industry make you pay. A good example is banks. Wells Fargo, one, you know, is they they don't want to pay any taxes. They want the middle class, the 9 to 5. If you're 9 to 5, then you're the guy that carries the ball, because the 3% of the individuals that control the money in this country, you got a number one candidate say, hey, look, no, I don't pay no taxes. I'm legal too. I have plenty of money to find loopholes in any laws that you make out there. You know, imagine that. Or either have the attitude of saying, if I go out there and beat up on somebody, they're not going to do anything to me. Not me. I'm above all of that. Hey, that attitude, that's something you have to think about. You know, attitude, a person has an attitude on a level, one of the top levels that we have. I mean, that's number one. And what happens is that they don't understand. And most people out there do understand. We had an example of that. It's being president. If you have a Congress that decide that, hey, look, we're not going to pass anything for you. Say we're going to not even bring it out of committee, so they won't even have a chance to vote on it. And that's the way the Congress works. And it shows you in the last 8 years how Congress really works. Instead of rushing to get a budget out, rushing to do things that's going to help the 9 to 5 guy. And the 9 to 5 guy, he's the one that carries the ball. He's the one that, when they need money, they go to his pocket. They have ways of doing that, you know. The municipalities, the federal government, they always come up. Why is it that everything they come up with, the middle class or the taxpayer guys that are in the middle have to pay for it? Because, hey, the 3% said we're not going to have any laws that don't benefit us monetarily. If they don't benefit us, we're going to pay somebody. Yeah, we're going to pay somebody to kill that. In other words, when it comes before Congress, the Senate or the House of Representatives, we're going to take a walk. You know, we're going to make sure maybe they don't have a quorum that day. Or either we find out that find out that they have a quorum, we're going to take a break. You know what I mean? So to make sure that we control what is being passed for majority of the people, and who benefits for it. If there's no dollar sign on it, then we won't, hey, we don't want to be bothered with it, you know. Only time we want a dollar sign on it is when in fact we can get one of those contracts, you know. And you get one of those contracts, I'm speaking about the different corporation. Hey, as far as defense is concerned, you realize that war machines, how much they cost, and who pays for it? You pay for it. Every tank, gun, everything that they use, and the corporation use it as a business, write-off. You know, we maybe they gave it as a write-off on the taxes, you know, that they donated so many arms to certain groups that's fighting somewhere else, you know what I mean, for the sake of democracy. Yeah, the Russians, they laugh at that, you know, and they laugh at, just imagine how the Russians are laughing all over the world, not just the Russians, the Europeans, the Chinese, all of them say, here's America. They think that they are tops and everything, that everybody should bow down to. We're not going to do that, you know. Say we're going to give them competition. And right now you got a group out there in the Far East there that's giving them a fit, you know. But what happens is that we're concerned more with who's going to make the money for the war machines. You know, the federal government, they don't make any tanks, guns, and planes and bullets and everything. You know, make corporations make it. And how do the corporations get the contract? Well, they take turns, sort of. You know, but what happens is that we go back and we check your record and see how much money you gave to certain campaigns and certain people, and we investigate those people, and we find out that they make tanks and guns, and it's a coincidence that you're one of the top manufacturers of war materials, and you gave a big donation to the Army or Navy or Marines, you know, appropriated money from your company, because when you give, that's basically, that's investment. If you give to certain people in an election, those people, when that appropriation comes for that Defense Department, excuse me, what happens? That appropriation, we look, first place we look is how much money gave to the political campaign and who did you give it to? Yeah, and then we find out and say, well, what we have to do is say, these materials cost a lot of money. So what we do, we have what they call a yard sale, a world yard sale. And the different countries that have the capabilities of making arms, tanks, and guns, they bid, you know, around the world. And that's why, hey, every little country, you got some over in Europe, every little country, they are bidding for arms. And they don't have capacity to make the arms themselves. It's only about 4 or 5 nations have capacity of making those $1 million planes and tanks and things of that nature. So then they get in a bidding war, you know. In the wars that they have in the Far East now, if they take those those machines and the tanks and guns and planes, they take that out the war, the guys wouldn't have nothing to fight with. There wouldn't be a thing to fight with, because they don't manufacture guns, tanks, and things of that nature. And what happened, we get involved in control of smaller countries. We get involved in control, so how do you control? Best thing is economics, that's right. The Japanese down in the near the Philippines, they decided to say, hey, well, the United States have used us since World War II. So we tired of them, we're gonna kick them out. So hey, Congress don't understand. These guys we've been using you for a long time. The Philippines, we gotta have places for bases. And every base that we have around the world costs money. Every base. Just do a little research. I'm back to that homework again. And find out the cost of a base in foreign country and who's paying for it. And you know what they usually say, that's for your security. We're trying to protect you from somebody else. Well, how you doing that? Well, we're going to have the biggest ships, the biggest planes, and we're going to infiltrate, and we're going to infiltrate the country's political system because we want everybody to have a democracy like ours, you know. And they said, like yours. And then they said, let me look at this election that they have here, the quality of individuals that actually, and that's supposed to be the #1 democracy, the #1 democracy in the world. That's what they say. And so we want to be part of that. But why is it that all these years, the Philippines, they decide to say, hey, we don't want any more of that. We want to at control by putting an air base or army base there, and and telling us if your neighbors threaten you, say we have the arms that you can buy. Say we have the arms that you can buy, and the corporations say, hey, that's a good deal. War is very, very profitable, because you got to have tanks, you got to have guns, you have to have planes. Yeah, and then the last part of it is that which we try to steer away from, is that you got to have bodies. That you've heard that term, boots on the ground. Yeah, you can have all the planes and tanks you want. Eventually, if you don't put boots on the ground, then you can't control that nation. And we have that going right now. Is that in the Far East there? Boots not on the ground, and we've been fighting over there for years, not months, but for years. So think about it. This is very important, this poll. So don't take it lightly, because, hey, you're going to pay for it, and I'm going to pay for it. Because, hey, the corporation, they're 3%. They're not going to pay for it because they're not going to do anything that's going to stop that money flow. You know what I mean? If we have to, influence, well, they say, well, Russia's influencing the election. Oh, we don't do that, huh? Sure we do. We have a spy system also. And some people, they don't believe that, not the United States, not United States of America. They don't have a spy system. They don't have anything. We wouldn't do anything like spy on our friends. No, nothing like that. And if we have to, it's for your benefit. We're protecting you. We making sure that you're safe, so we build another battleship or another supersonic plane. And hey, those are the things you have to think about. So when you go to the polls, remember, you will pay for it right away, because all we have to do in our government is raise your taxes on metro, or and the roads have to be done again. Who's going to pay for that? Say, the corporations say, we make money with roads. Say, we can't pay for it. Okay, so we'll go up on the structure of the roads for the people. Everybody need a road, right? It's all of you out there, you holler about the backup and the potholes. This has been Ed Brown, but don't forget, remember the homeless coming up December 3rd. You can call 240-619-2019. And there, remember, don't bring those old junky stuff that you had, them hats and stuff. They have to be new items, and the items are hats, scarves, gloves, socks, toiletry, no clothes. Don't bring them old clothes that you've had in the closet for 10 years that you can't wear now, or either they're out of style. This has been Ed Brown. See you next time.